All right, let me get my notes. Okay, here we go. All right. Where's the, oh, there's the camera. Oh, there's a camera, not there. So don't worry about this. Don't worry about this guy. I can minimize him. No, I can't minimize him, but just don't be one of those people who likes to look at yourself all the time, because you actually won't be looking at there. This is the camera right here. Okay. All right.
Are we cozy?
Yeah, we're good. Oh yeah, we got this. Yeah. Oh, I like the coziness. You see, you can't tell. It's like Hollywood movies. You know this stuff. Like this. All right. This is gonna pick up everything we say, no problem. But make sure to speak a little bit loud, because obviously there's a little bit of background noise. We're going to minimize that, but also we want our voices to be prominent, and there's less editing if you speak.
You promised us post-production, right? So like this is not live stream.
It is
No,
live stream.
no, it's not. No. I'm recording it already, but yeah, no. Post-production. Yeah, a lot of post-production. It's going to be fun. It's going to be super fun. Okay, good. What's up, everybody? This is CryptoGreen podcast with me, Dr. Josh. I'm here with two amazing people. I'm Jean-Vieve and Asher. They have two different projects. Jean-Vieve is going to talk about AgriLedger and some amazing things that's happening with NFTs. We are here in NFT.NYC 2023. And Asher's our surprise co-host, Asher J. First, I'm going to let them. So welcome here. Welcome to CryptoGreen podcast. Thank you for wearing the green sunglasses.
I tried to be on brand.
She had to come on brand. So she's here to ride. We're going to have a good time here. And just for the people that are new to the podcast, I have characters that might come in at different times to help further the conversation. And so if you hear me say something like elephant turd or monkey sauce or something like that, I'll just let you know what I'm wanting you to do with that.
Imaginary friends.
These are my imaginary friends, because in the crypto world, it's very lonely right now in the bear market. And so I need some imaginary friends, right? You got imaginary friends?
I do.
No, she's got dogs.
I do have dogs.
Imaginary dogs?
I have real dogs, and I have some imaginary friends. You need
That are dogs?
imagination to populate your life with something outside of what is happening around you, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, how do you create anything interesting?
That's true. And it's that reminds me, how do we create a new world because the one that we're destroying is like almost gone? So I hope we get to talk about impact and talk about what you're doing in both of your projects, but also have a great discussion about how we can move forward on this and how people can move forward in this area, especially those people who are in crypto, but don't, and Web3 and NFTs, but don't know about the environmental concerns and global economy and impact economy, and also the biodiversity and all these other issues that we need to bring to the front. We only got 30 minutes, but we'll get a good start today. So Jean-Vieve, please tell us about AgriLedger. How did it happen? How did you come up with the idea, and what does it do for our audience?
So I have actually been in technology for 35 years. I was doing the internet when we didn't know what the internet was. They were sending these things over something called Gopher and getting to know maybe what amino acid this could be or what gene. And this was at Sloan Kettering. And at the same time, I got to play with sending images across the internet, across the phone from New York to Salerno. So I was working with this man called Dr. Rosai, he's a world-famous pathologist, really in cancer. So I've always been curious about technology. And I heard about this thing called blockchain. And I never got, stupid of me. I could have had so many tokens, but I wasn't interested in tokens. Because my whole thing had always been about how do we get to straight-through processing? How do we get to truth? And how do we create a mechanism where from far we can do like that string talking and actually get information across? And that's where I thought.
You mean a string with the two cans on the end?
Cans, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a metaphor.
It's a metaphor. Metaphor. And for me, I thought, okay, this is going to be my last time because it's going to take a long time to get people around this. And I want it to be about passion, what I was passionate about. And food is my passion. And it's a passion that you don't need to really be as passionate as I am. We all need to eat. The day we stop eating, we're dead. You don't have to love it. And I thought, I've been sick, I've been hungry, and we see what hunger and also, food security, food safety, to call those things can do to humanity. I've traveled around the world and I come from Haiti. where abject poverty is something that you see. And how can you get food, at least to the table? And, the more I got into this, I also then found out it's actually in the blood. I have about 8 of my cousins who are agronomists. And my uncle was the minister of agronomists twice. And he's also Fulbright in agronomy.
Hold on, I gotta call in one of my imaginary friends. Gatorade chomps down big concepts into little tiny bits so we can digest it. What do you mean by agronomist?
He's that my uncle saved the cotton industry in Haiti.
So we're talking about agriculture economist,
No,
or
it's,
we're talking about
well, it is about economy, but it's also about the life of the soil, the life of the plant. So we have in Haiti right now a gentleman by the name of Dr. Gaël Pessoa, who also has been doing biodiversity in the millet, and he works with Kellogg, and we're looking at the strain that can be used against climate control. So this is what those people do. My uncle, I didn't know that, and how I found out is because when Timberland was trying to do their blockchain, they put him as the face of Timberland's blockchain.
oh, was it?
Yes, because he helped the cotton industry.
Okay, I see.
So an agronomist is someone which basically works with farmers to help them get the best out of their products and also combat disease. One of the things, unfortunately, is as you grow the same thing over and over, you get disease. And how do you get rid of those? And many places around the world, we'll see in the Greater South, like Africa, Latin America, in the Caribbean, you don't have the luxury of research. So you need those individuals to help move those things and to change those things.
Right. So, okay. So now we're talking about inventory management. We're talking about total quality control, all these different ideas mixed in with economy, biodiversity, and also humanity in the sense of the culture. And how does this blockchain get into this? You said that you want to combine these two things you're passionate about. Where does blockchain come into this? And what is it specifically that you guys are trying to solve? I mean, food scarcity, but with blockchain.
It's not really. So the problem is, and I don't know if people are aware of this, when we talk about green gas emission, agriculture is responsible for 25% of the green gas emission. We all talk about, oh, travel this, travel that, but in reality, it's only 9%. So if we can remove waste, if we can get farmers to actually produce something and get paid the right amount for it, then we don't need to overproduce in order to get paid some money. So we need to rebalance this economy and really start, if we can remove by 4 or 5 points, it will make a big difference. And then the other thing is we need to be able to support them in doing the right thing by getting the money for doing those right things.
Okay, so you're talking about an incentive structure.
Gamification.
Gamification. What do you think about that, Ashley?
I think it could be interesting because I have a question based on bananas. For instance, organic bananas are actually worse for the environment than having inorganic bananas because
I think you need a microphone for that one.
there we go.
You have a question about bananas.
Using a banana.
Monkey sauce. Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna pass the banana to take it.
All right, pass the banana.
Well,
Okay. That's very sorry, but on a serious note. Yes, that is a banana in your hand. Okay.
Yeah, have a smile.
Yes. Anybody got any oranges? Okay, no, next.
No, so one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is the fact that
Don't get me
bananas,
jealous.
okay, can actually be bad for the environment if they're organic, because what ends up happening is that you have to clear fresh land every time you're growing an organic crop, because they're not very pest resistant, because they are highly cultivated to be almost a singular strain from, like, we had countless strains of bananas and we made it into a singular one that's not very resilient.
I absolutely agree, but I think the issue is even worse. Do you know that this banana? No, but seriously, in Ecuador,
Smile.
it's a big issue where actually the farmers are paying more for the environmental issues are created. And there is a black as you say, because of trying to make the organic bananas, they now have a black plague, which is killing the trees. This whole organic thing is very much a marketing, kind of like the Web3. It's not necessary. Let's make things as they should. And it's worse than just what it's doing to the environment. It's the fact that the farmer is actually paying for bananas. They're living in abject poverty. There's a great project I met a few years ago who is working on that and get the actual payment done. But then they wanted to use my blockchain, but they couldn't afford to. And this is where we need to make this become ubiquitous in terms of the same way we do email. So this is about creating a network of information and understanding what actually is going to the farmer and removing the speculators in between. And this is the key aspect of what this is all about. So technology is just a mechanism for evidencing what is happening in this. But you are doing a change management because you're removing that person who's buying. You need, you talked about this being worse. You need to educate the consumer for what's going on. It's like when you choose to get that banana, these are the impact you're doing. These are the pictures of what is happening in the space. So it's more than just the technology. It's the movement that we need to have, and we need to be aware of that. When we're talking about COP26 and 27, 26 said, oh, okay, now you can go and buy your carbon credit from just about anyone.
Yeah.
How?
And it's not just about carbon credits in agriculture, right? Because like you can use the blockchain even to look at how ENFTs can look at tillage, crop rotation rates.
What happens is if you can get someone to be paid the right way and not to worry, we make an assumption that the farmer doesn't want to do the right thing. They are the guardian of the earth. This is what gives them their livelihood. The same way, if you're a driver, a taxi driver, you take care of your car. They want to take care of this, but we're not helping them take care of it. So we need to give them the tools to do. And you talked about nature-based or agricultural-based carbon credit. The reality is they're very little unless you can prove what is happening.
I'm sorry, they're very what?
They're very little, they're very small.
They're little. The carbon
$50.
credits are small.
It's small.
It's not enough to make the impact that's needed.
Not enough to make the impact on its own. But if you bring in the mechanical, such water, biochar, biomasses, things that reduce the chemical need, but provide also reduction in water usage, you can then have two form, both the mechanical and also the nature base. A lot of the projects talk about the red project. So red for everybody is really the nature base where the forest, but that doesn't show permanence. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the John Oliver bit on that, where he talked about the fact that this was a national park. So what the hell are you saying now? You're counting those carbon credits. So we need to create
putting the green lens on things.
Exactly.
Green lens.
Green lens.
If anybody knows about green lenses, is Asher. Right?
No, but it is.
Look at these two. You want to try? We're gonna switch up a little
Let's
bit.
switch it up.
She knows how to put the green lens on this. Just to let you know.
No, but I'd like to be able to see your beautiful faces.
Yeah.
I know these take the whole thing.
Yeah, for me, it'd be like up to my mouth practically. No, but seriously, we haven't been talking in the right way about nature base and this idea of permanence.
Well, I have a question
That's
regarding that, showing the banana, because the problem is that the current paradigm is run by the J curve. And so I'm trying to discern how we can keep on that trajectory, if we are, what's happening.
Hold on a second. This
We've
is way
been
too interesting.
Technical difficulties.
What's up?
Brought to you by a banana.
What happened? No, I didn't.
We can hope.
When did it go off?
Let's use the prop. It's like Drew Carey's show. How many ways can we use this banana before the show's done?
Maybe.
Oh, don't worry.
I can record from like this, I need a, otherwise I need a password.
You want to use a phone?
Do my phone for recording,
Why not?
audio quality. Audio
Oh.
quality. Let me do this.
Okay.
We'll make it clear in a minute. Don't forget what you're talking about.
No, we never forget,
Go back
please.
to banana.
I'm going back to the J curve.
Yes, exactly. Start at the J curve. Damn. Well, I'll bring you back into context.
Okay.
Oh, but this is a good camera. All of a sudden, man, because you want your food.
No,
Oh, no, we'll
we'll
finish this and then have it. Thank you so much, Eddie. You're so kind.
Okay, bro, put that over there and grab me that white chair. please. I think it's gonna be high enough. Your laptop? Oh, yes. Oh, no, grab one of the stools. Sorry. Yeah.
can you see?
Huh? It didn't let us know. Should have said something. Yeah, actually, that's better, isn't it? All right, don't worry, I'll bring everybody back into context and we'll figure it out in the editing phase. Start with that. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
They should have had a podcast booth and everything. They had one at East Denver. I totally just brought the minimal equipment, because I'm flying everywhere. I've been doing this like everywhere around the world.
So where's next
just in
up?
Dubai, just in Miami last week. I love Dubai. By the way, I think there's some interesting potential connections, even though that's like they're energy dependent.
No, we are not against working with them.
Yeah, you see, I think, well, you were talking about the oil company earlier. We could definitely have a conversation about that because crypto money is good in Dubai, well known. But let's get back to what we were doing because this is a super interesting.
We were
banana.
talking about covenants and I
Okay.
brought in the prop again because I think we're going to find the optimal number of uses for this one banana.
Yeah, okay, so
this
great.
dialogue is done.
All right,
okay?
let me break it down. Gatorade. All right, Gatorade is here to break it down. All right. So basically, you're saying that we can have a just-in-time inventory, what they call just-in-time inventory manufacturing, and the farmers should have, and the different stakeholders should have knowledge, and it should be open and transparent as far as so we can limit the amount of usage. And also with bananas specifically, there was a lot of issues with people wasting and people actually paying for those because for whatever reasons that you mentioned.
And she's also talking about longevity and sustainability.
longevity, right,
And that's
right.
why I brought in the banana,
Yeah.
because I was saying that we are living in a world where if we're truly looking to preserve natural commons and look at ways that we utilize the land to provide for ourselves is done intelligently such that it's not corrosive, then we cannot stay in the current trajectory of the J curve, right? The banana needs to come back to a level playing field.
Exactly.
So how are we going to do that?
So I think part of it is coming to the realization that it is an aspect and a challenge and working together. So one of the projects I've been working with is in Spain. It's a small project in Catalonia, working with wine producers, scientists, and also the winemakers. Because the winemaker wants the right sugar level, so they need the farmers to stop growing and to cull at some point.
Uh-huh.
And the scientists want to be, and the agronomists want to see the level of carbon to be at the right way for that to continue. So Catalonia has the oldest wine industry in the world. This is where wine started, and this is where the route to Africa was made by the Romans. However, as you say, that continuum is not, and this is the challenge I have when you're saying don't grow anything. So a lot of the carbon positive companies who are capturing carbon are saying to the farmers, don't use your land. That's okay if you have lots of land. And when we look at farming globally, and it's not just smallholder farmers or 80% of the farming. In the US, that's 80% with less than 5 acres. In Africa and in the Caribbean, it could be 1 to 1.5 acres. So those people need to be able to plant. And if we, the challenge I have for agricultural economy has been grow more, grow more, grow more. That's not the answer, because that grow more means more waste and more carbon aspects, the carbon dioxide that comes out from it. So we need, as you said, to get them to grow what is necessary and to flex when it's needed, but also be paid the price that makes sense. So I'll use the Haiti example. The farmers were receiving 90 cents for a dozen. Dozen was 14. So they came in with 14 and they got 90 cents for those. That
We're still talking bananas?
No, we're talking mangoes.
Mangoes, okay.
It could be
Okay.
the banana, it could be the bunch.
Yeah.
That bunch
okay.
of banana
But the unit of measure is 14 for
was
mangoes.
14 for a dozen. So 12 is 14.
Okay, get 2 free.
They have to do bakers.
Ah. Okay.
However, when it comes to the buyer in the US, he measures it by box and kilogram of box, about 4 or 5 kilos.
Oh.
So we have actually created to wherever you are in the value chain, how you measure it is how it's now counted. So you're doing the translations in between. So it's the Tower of Babel. Finally, what happens is that we were able to show that the farmer went from 90 cents to $7.50. All that was because he waited till it was sold to the foreign market.
Yeah.
Versus if he took 90 cents, he wasn't participatory. Also, he didn't care. He gave as much junk that he could stuff inside.
Sure.
But now what we do is we ask him and we show him what are the quality. Okay, this is going to go to the US. This is going to be your local market. And what I think also there's a possibility of saying this is going to go for products or animal feed. So really bringing that circularity and lack of waste, and which means one might be where he gets $7.50 for, and the other one he gets at 90 cents.
I actually worked on an agroforestry initiative with Sambazon, and they do something similar with acai berries in the Amazon, which is to take away all the middlemen, which blockchain can do. And what you're actually resulting in is a direct economy with the indigenous people being able to benefit from the fruit that they harvest and sell to market through their direct factory line, which is in the Amazon basin. So the factory is not far removed from the suppliers or the sourcing, and therefore there's just a greater level of transparency because you know exactly where each berry is coming from. Versus
So
when you have
middlemen are usually a function of trust. So we shouldn't malign them completely. They are creating that trust between the buyer and the seller. However, they also take a lot of risks that one of them is going to screw them. So now what we're doing is we're saying you don't need to have somebody in between you. That doesn't mean there are not people in between, because in order for the farmer to scale, he or she does need to have more than just debit, unless you're doing what's it called, durian, where it's so expensive it doesn't matter. So there's certain items which are so needed. But when we talk about corn, or we talk about wheat, or we talk about fruits, the fruits mostly have only a certain lifetime. So if you need to get it to market quickly, or you need to use it how it's going to be used in a quick way. So it's important to be looking what are the possibilities, removing the people who are not adding value, and those who are adding value get rewarded. So we've done so far the traceability and showed, okay, I can increase. But one of the problems is liquidity. You need to pay the farmer. So where does that money need to come? So this is where now we can start using different ways, more innovative ways. So really, it's not new.
Yeah.
It's structured finance.
But implementation is the key, isn't it? Right?
Implementation and trust was the first.
Well, these farmers are a lot of underdogs, calling in underdog. We have an underdog character, of course, and they're kind of like underdogs in one way. But what about their internal competition, right? In a lot of cultures, I mean, I'm thinking game theory here, and I'm thinking in a lot of cultures, they're like, hey, I don't want the other farmers to, get more than me or to take my produce or something like that.
You don't.
How is that solved or prevented?
What happens is
How do
that
they work together to collaborate rather than compete?
I actually think that we are fooling ourselves to think that's
Sorry.
the case.
Just a
Yeah,
second.
closer.
We're good.
Okay.
Okay, start over.
Move on.
You think that's
No,
Well,
you
this
think,
because-
I think that we believe that we live in a world of dog eat dog
okay?
competition.
Yeah,
In the agricultural space, it is not it is much more collaborative. Remember, they're the ones with the co-ops. They understand that together they win. So,
in some places,
in some places,
but in other places, maybe they have a different way of
well,
doing business.
this is why also what we're doing, the way we built this chain is that it's around privacy.
Okay.
So I do believe that the financial aspect will need to be in a public chain, but you as an individual would not want everybody to know how much money you're making.
Right, or
Or
other
what-
factors. And I
what-
might not trust your computer system to actually be private,
So we
if it's
have
harmless, it's an
actually,
issue.
we have made sure it's private.
Okay,
It's complete, it's using Corda R3. And we have actually built it to which each farmer has their own wallet on chain, all their data. Because one of the things that we're not thinking about is right now, if they sold for $100, it's usually in cash. There's
Yeah.
no evidence that they sold for 100, but that evidence of that 100 can allow them to go get credit for 50.
okay, yeah, I see.
So it is more than just
Yeah.
information to assure that they get paid, but it is also to understand their productivity level. And the idea is to create their own data wallet. So really coming in from the identity management aspect to where this is one of the attributes for them. And also, I believe that sometimes people will never want to say what they did before. Most people don't know that I worked in research in cancer. That's nowhere on my on my LinkedIn, on my WhatsApp.
Okay,
But that is part of me. And I think one should be able to make public what we want when we want. So if we were to put their information on the blockchain, which is accessible by everyone, then everyone knows and they can never go away from it. Maybe this is something they want to, but many times, unfortunately, the society judges you by where they think you came from.
I have a question around the supply chain transparency, traceability, compared to sourcing transparency and traceability, right? Because if you have more middlemen, I get that they build trust relationships between people, but then the more middlemen you have, the more hands the goods changes through, and then you can have where they aggregate multiple sources and then redistribute. And those situations, the end consumer never knows where they're getting the actual good from. So how do you
what
work around
actually
that?
we are removing all these sources. So the source, you don't, so I'm going to use an example of in Haiti. And also this is something in India. The farm person has some guy who goes around and picks up in the bag and brings it to town on his bicycle. At the town, there is a truck which takes it to the center for processing, the processing center, pack house. And then that pack house takes it to the supermarket. So which means you're aggregating through. As you say, there isn't that traceability. We're removing this need, but allowing a mechanism where there are fewer people in between. You have to be part of the network to transport. So but the problem with that also is you have to remember you're removing a number of jobs that exist, which are also seen as lucrative jobs. So you have to rehabilitate these people and really find a reason for them to be, or get them, because they're pretty good at what they do. So use them to service more than just a small amount and get them to understand for the greater good how it's going to impact their bottom line also, because they will make more money.
they won't be able to speculate and say, okay, I bought it from you 10 cents, I'm going to sell it for 50 cents. Now I'm going to do a job for you for 10 cents and you pay me 10 cents. Now, what we want to do, and this is where Eddie and I were talking about, this is Eddie saying, how do you make people do the right thing is by gamifying and saying, okay, if you do your job right, I'm going to give you a gold star and I'm going to give you more money. So success of the multitude is at what you start saying. If I'm the start and you're in the middle and it needs to get to Josh, if you don't get it to Josh, both of us lose. So getting you to understand that becomes key. And that's the piece which is more of the education. It doesn't take long. I would say my biggest gift from the World Bank was them writing the article. I didn't write
The
it.
World Bank, so you're working with the World Bank?
I did the project with the World Bank and the government of Haiti.
Okay.
So the World Bank funded the government of Haiti. And it's very important to know, it wasn't, oh, we're going to do this. They went and started for 7 years looking at what were the different industries that they could impact.
I see, yeah.
And then realize that if you were in an environment where there was collusion at time, government that failed, and somebody was sitting and said, well, we don't really want to give the database to one person to be the master of, what could we use? And somebody said, what about blockchain? And so we actually put the application in. They didn't know at the time that I was Haitian.
But
No,
they
but
found
I
out.
did. Oh yeah, they found out. But I think that the cultural context was very important, and understanding the failures and also how things move was really important for me on a cultural level and for them, because I don't think we would have been successful if I had been from other countries. Like,
Yeah, well, you kind of answered my next question already, because I was like, this sounds much more like a governmental or kind of intergovernmental project than something that's outside of the government or something that private actors are doing. But now that you mentioned the World Bank and you mentioned countries with collusion, and I'm just trying to connect those things. And, I want to call out, our character Elephant Turd, because the only thing bigger than bullshit in the jungle is an elephant turd. And, what's the real interest here? I mean, and also people are skeptical. I know, and I've worked with several people. I don't know about you, but I mean, people are skeptical about the World Bank's interest. I know Vedanta Shiva is a lady in India. You probably know personally.
with Akapera.
Vandana Shiva.
Vandana, sorry.
I want to
Hey, I was
meet
trying
her.
to say
I
it.
want to meet her.
She's phenomenal. I really love her.
It's a project in Mexico, Akapera,
Okay.
that we have to go visit.
Okay, well, but she's really critical about, the Bill Gates and the corporate and the World
And
Bank and these kind of
so
things.
am I.
Utilization
Yeah.
of crops. Yeah.
So am I.
Okay.
So am I.
Yeah, okay.
But you need to be with the devil to make things work. You need to understand how the devil works, because if you don't,
Oh, that's,
you're never going to change it.
Yeah, I hear
And
that.
I
Like,
do
we're in the
not
system, break the
believe
system.
in aid. I believe in trade.
Like,
It hasn't worked.
go ahead,
It
continue.
hasn't worked. Trade has not worked. It continues to be a failure. The World Bank, I will say I was absolutely lucky. I got to work with Emiliano Dutch. Emiliano wrote the part in the book with Michael Tucker on value chain creation. And the idea is, how do you create economies of scale by looking at the fact that something starting from point A to get to point D has to have certain paths, and that can change based on the environment. But also when it's at D, it has more value than it was at A. And how do you get everyone to work together toward that? And that includes government. And this is where, for me, we need to start talking about the RACI model: responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. So government does need to have a role. They don't need to be the keeper. Everyone which is part of the story. So part of what the World Bank did, bless their soul for this one, was to get the story. So we sometimes think, oh, they're doing it the wrong way. You need to understand what is the story at that level, get people to understand how it affects them, and then work with them toward the change. Don't go and force the change. And this is why also when a technology level, technology is not just, it's also what I call swivel chair. Sometimes I have to put it in a computer, then I need to swivel and write it on a piece of paper because it can't get on the system yet. And that swivel chair could be, I need to teach this person how it can be different. Very much like the pop dog. When I ring that bell, that means you're going to get food, baby. So listen for the bell. So we need to, and this is where I think this technology is great, and that it will capture a lot of crap, but you can then start being able to understand.
How do you navigate some of the bureaucracy of being with the World Bank or working with the system? Because it depends on where you are in the system, right? If you're downstream, then you get dung bombed. But if you're upstream, then you can actually change it at source level. So where are you affecting change?
I disagree, because what we think the World Bank is a barometer of everything. What they have is reputation, but at the end, they're made of all these nations. They are not, they're an organization which serves those nations. So they do a lot of great things and they do a lot of bad things because they have to be bureaucratic. You just need to work through the system. And as I say, unless you understand the system, how can you break it? So you need to understand that system, then you start taking it apart and putting it back together. Because just breaking it and saying it's invalid does not allow you to get to that next space.
Yeah, it's like what the communists tried. But here's the thing, you know, you're an expert in multiple stakeholder management and things like that. Give us, and I want to pull this in because then we pulled in everything from the farmers to the agents to the people in Mexico to the World Bank to the devil. We even have the devil in here. Oh yeah. By the way, I'd like to have a word from our sponsor, the devil. The devil is sponsoring us today. No greenwashing here. Everything's legitimate. You can get our token at devildevildevilcom. Come buy it, and we're going to save the world and fix the environment together, and everybody will have food. It will be, in the words of the former president, tremendous. Devildevildevil.com. Remember, say his name 3 times, and then watch out, because all your console will be stolen.
I divorced you 3 times.
Yeah. Hey, but that means something was good because you got married again.
You got a connection there twice.
You got okay. That's how it goes. But okay, thank you for the word from our sponsor. Let's move on to what you do, because we've talked about all kinds of different multiple stakeholders, and I think it's amazing what you do. I'm going to call in ludicrous speed and I want you to give us the quick version, because I know you're very quick.
Sure. I'm a National Geographic explorer, turned tech entrepreneur, and I started a platform called Hennessy because we live in the Anthropocene, which is the age of man. Hint, hint, the patriarchy, and it's time that we ended it, bookended it with a new era. And Hennessy is basically the era of unity. Comes from the Greek word henosis, which means
just to help our viewers.
In consensus. Yes.
And just to help our viewers, it's Henoscene.
Hennessy.
Okay, but like it comes from the Greek.
It comes from the Greek word henosis, because that word suggests that we are all part of a fundamental reality that is unified. And that's not what we wake up to on any given day, right? We think we're all sort of operating in different swim lanes and silos. And that's usually why the current industry does not work, because the way we've structured our paradigm is entirely segmented and nothing is working in an interdependent capacity, which is the state of the natural world. Everything's interdependent, everything's interwoven. And so I think what we get to with blockchain technology, as you clearly pointed out, is that there's a greater capacity to work both peer-to-peer, where we individually give recognition to the role we bring alive through how we show up, but also through consensus, what we can co-create, collaborate in real time, only because we're all showing up as stakeholders that take ownership of the narrative together. And I think that's a level of consensus and awareness is brought about through ENFTs, particularly, which we both are using, which can stand for enterprise or environment. Is basically the E is just as you go.
But not electronic.
No,
because it's natural.
E-waste.
Okay. But anyway, so you're working with ENFTs as part of Hennessy.
As part of Hennessy, and we are working on corporate social responsibility, bringing end-to-end transparency on how brands are showing up to deliver impact to the world. Because we want to ensure that they onboard their stakeholders at the outset, not as an afterthought. So there's proactive engagement in the solution deployment, and the purveyors are part of the solution being realized, as opposed to being end users and adopters of a solution that's been fed downstream to them. And essentially that allows for a greater, more authentic internalization of a solution, as opposed to just being symptom alleviation. and people just put these patches on and keep moving on to the next thing because that's what's trending, that's what's selling, you know. And speaking of the elephant toad character, I actually have an elephant toad story for you from my National Geographic moments.
Oh my God. There's a Crypto Mondays audience want to hear an elephant turd story. We're gonna love this. We even have a sound for it. So yeah, that's a French connection. Tell us.
From an elephant, again, I wound up going diving with an elephant, the only swimming elephant in the world, and I was trying to get a National Geographic photograph of this elephant from underwater. So I went beneath the elephant and they decided to let loose in the ocean and right into my wake. So I had these downstream blow right into my snorkel and face.
Oh my God.
That's the only animal I've been packed on by.
Oh, really?
By a blue whale, dolphin. So it tells you don't follow animals, like don't follow in their wake. You know?
Yeah, okay. Don't want to close.
In a moment, don't do that.
Oh my God. So is that where you had the epiphany? You said, oh my God, the world is shit.
The world is
I gotta
shitting
clean it
on
up.
you.
The
Yeah.
world is shitting on you.
No, but I think what
It happened to
happens,
me too. A bird shit on my face.
one question I have for you, because you've been like giving me. How are you, because I know my challenge with the top down sometimes is that it is prescribed into what you want to hear. How do we bring in to where my view of the ENFT opportunity is where the brand funds the ability to capture the information that's provided by the multitude without any aspect of coercion? Because I think sometimes what we feel is the information or the data is directed to tell the story that the brand wants to have.
Yeah.
So how do we remove that layer of coercion?
I think that happens because when you bring people into a state of consensus as the starting point, as opposed to something that needs to happen along the way, the choices haven't been made behind closed doors in an elitist context. Instead, it's been made in an inclusive capacity, and then you're moving lockstep together along the way. And I think what has happened in the impact space over the years, especially in CSR, is that we tend to come to a decision and then we think this is the best way because it's most aligned with the story that we're already positioned ourselves in. And therefore, let's sell it to the market. And we don't often know whether they've even really delivered on the solution set. How far has that found, real adoption on the ground? And also, are they building forward on it? Is it just a one and done mission, or are they really ensuring that the particular effort has longevity behind it?
So I'm actually thinking, so one of the things that I'm really pushing for is with NFT, really looking at impact NFT in a different way, to where it is actually creating a funding mechanism.
I feel like every time you put your hands out, you should just offer the banana to the world.
Feed the world. It is about feeding the world.
Yeah, literally.
No, but
Okay.
Seriously, I think that we have all these people who do good things. However, they're unable. So one of the things I loved working with the World Bank with is that they had some of the smartest people in the room. But it's not always the case when you're working with NGOs, because those NGOs do not have the budget to hire that person who believes in doing, is getting paid well enough.
Yeah.
So there is an opportunity to these mechanisms to really start moving the capital in a different way. So really measuring both sides of the coin.
Yeah, opportunity oftentimes is, I like your idealism, I gotta say, I really love it, and I think the world needs more of that, but it can't be naive. And when we, I know that you're from Haiti and you're not, you weren't born yesterday, and you're from New York, I know you're worldwide. But at the same time, when we talk about the middleman, removing the middleman, they have a life too. They have a family too. You know what I mean? What about then they're going to think, well, how do I stop this? It's the same thing with the anti-crypto lobbies and these things. And you're talking about bringing in traditional banks, and they're going to just all of a sudden want to do this where they're going to lose money and potentially lose their,
I would say
their business.
I'm very realistic about that. I am not saying to remove middlemen. I'm saying to rehabilitate.
I know what you said, and I didn't say about removing the middleman, but I like that you're framing that to include them.
And the same thing with the bank. I want to include the bank. You need financial services.
But how is it when people have different intentions? So the bank has a certain intention to make the most profit as possible. The middleman does as well. And they're not thinking about, oh, how can we manage this inventory appropriately? There's the marketing stakeholders that she's talking about. You know.
That. It's understanding for every participant what's in it for them. So
With them.
if you cannot understand the with them, if you don't have the conversation, you can't understand how to make it work for them. So the bank can make money. The middleman, I didn't say get rid of them, just that you now have a different way of making your money. You've got to give good service. It's the same way with Uber. You know, these guys go for the 5 stars.
Yeah.
They want the 5 stars
Yeah.
because then they get more people and they get better tips. The guy who comes into the car and gives you some order, you actually are going to tip him more. And he's going to make more than the other person who basically can barely get your ass in the right place. So
It's true.
what it is what I believe is what I say sometimes compassionate capitalism, or really looking at capitalism as something that exists, but how can we make it work for everyone? And that doesn't mean everybody will be successful, because some people will not do what is needful. But if the problem that we have in this world is it doesn't matter how much sometimes of an effort you make, you don't succeed because the barriers are there for you. So what is very important is I don't believe that I can go in and put this technology and just walk away. I have to train those people in the ground to understand what this is all about. I have failed Haiti, not because of me. It is a failed state at this point, but I am not giving up. That, however, the other way around was to set up the Haiti Blockchain Alliance. This is giving young men and young women the opportunity to understand this technology, not about trading crypto, but really being part of that. How can I get a job doing that? How can I be a UI UX? How can I be a process person?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we don't only need the crypto bros, we need the crypto girls also. We need to be able to make it work on a local level, because it can't be that you have to call the US or the UK or wherever to understand what needs to be done. There needs to be somebody local.
See, but then I think with crypto, like even the way I'm leveraging it, it has to be about stakeholdership, which means everybody is the source point. There is no middleman, because you're taking out the idea of needing someone as a go-between two entities. Rather, everybody becomes their own entity that's showing up towards a common end result.
But this is actually something that, so I think there are different lessons that we've been taking throughout the years. In crypto, you pay for the use of crypto. All of us, you actually, we don't think of the fact that we're paying a fee. We're okay with it. That's not something we do with software anymore. We think software should be free. So we need to restart this view. NFTs, I don't have, by the way, I have no tokens, no nothing. I have tokenization of data. I have tracking of data. I have private and public data. That's using the technology. But what I like about the NFT and the way we're using it is as a way of rewarding people for doing the right thing. So in Spain, they take a test, they talk about what they understand about regenerative, and for that, they get an NFT. It's nothing else but a gold star. You did your homework.
Yeah, I got it. So when in that regard, are we talking about enterprise NFTs or environmental NFTs? Because
Both.
let's make the definition here. What do you mean both?
Because
kind of
E
NFT do they get in
can
Spain?
stand for whatever, make up a new word right now, it can stand for that too.
Educational
NFTs.
Right.
Basically, E stands for enhanced NFTs, right? So it comes with a smart contract and can execute additional functionality beyond just being an NFT.
Utilities.
It has a utility to it.
Yeah, okay.
And so that can be environmental in its purpose, it can be enterprise, it can be education.
I know, but you're talking about narrative and changing the narratives, but then I don't
Economics.
have a clear definition of what an ENFT
Okay,
is.
so-
You see what I'm
so
saying?
it-
There's a
okay,
little bit
so
of
the
contradiction
reason
there.
is that, no,
There isn't a contradiction, she's gonna
She's
reconcile that for you
gonna
right now.
reconcile that. Okay, write
Okay.
it down.
so what happens
Gotta
is that when we think of enterprise, we think of having the right level of security, the right level of usability, and also it's not a gimmick. So it is about getting corporates to participate.
So what we designed, when we looked at this design, it was around environmental, educational, and enterprise grade, which means it can withstand, and not this idea that tomorrow there is a rug pull, and it's not about trying to sell something. And what we actually propose is, think about it this way, in the wine country. The guy who makes the grapes gets paid maybe 5 cents per kilo. That bottle, which used maybe 2 kilos of grapes, sells for $2,000, maybe, or 2,000 euro, maybe 5 years later. But it's removed, who never gets something for that. But imagine if that bottle, because we think we've heard about NFT tokens on bottle, but it never talks about the farmer who actually sweated to get those grapes in. Imagine now, when that bottle sells for 2,000, another $200 goes to him. Or he is going to get something. Now you can start speculation in the proper way of an asset, and he can get a loan to that. That becomes a liquid asset that people want to trade.
Okay, I see. And I like the idea of enterprise grade,
Yes.
because that then signals to the non-crypto economy that, hey, this is a quality product. And then when you have the specifics and whether it's environmental education or whatever, enhanced.
That, and also like it depends on the infrastructure you're running it on, right? Because if you are going to say that it's an ENFT operating with an environmental mission in its root,
Yeah.
then you're also ensuring that you're on a POS as opposed to POW. You're ensuring that you are being as energy efficient in your data pulse. So there isn't excessive amounts of data profusion from IoT devices inundating your NFTs functionality within your platform. So it depends on like how you are structuring the integrity of its execution capacity in your platform based on what you're intending to do.
Okay, so now we're at NFT.NYC 2023. You were just on stage together. And you'd met before then?
At Babelsberg.
Babelsberg.
A word that no one knows. A German, I met a German yesterday and I told him I went to Babelsberg and he's like, I have no idea where that is.
Oh, he didn't say,
So where-
mein Familie is from Babelsberg.
This is
I'm
in
so happy you were
Potsdam,
there. Huh?
where movie started.
What movie?
All movie industry started there.
Oh, in Babelsberg?
Yes.
Yeah, in Potsdam.
In Potsdam.
Oh, I know where that is.
They actually
It's close
did
to
the VFX editing for Resurrections, Matrix Resurrections of that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
It's amazing space and
How- Okay.
beautiful speakers.
So we're speakers at the Media Tech Hub conference,
Uh-huh.
MTH. It's great. It's very intimate.
But
And people
great.
from incredible like diversity of disciplines gather to
The
have
head of
conversations.
engineering for Rolls-Royce, the guy,
BMW.
no, Rolls-Royce I met, he
Oh,
wasn't
I meant
speaking.
BMW. Okay,
BMW was showing us how he created the music for the
with Phil
electrical.
Glass.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Philip Glass.
And no, Hans Zimmer. It was
And
Hans
Hans
Zimmer.
Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer.
Are
Yeah.
we talking about BMW or Rolls Royce? Because
No,
Philip Glass sounds like Rolls Royce.
No.
Hans Zimmer sounds like BMW.
They had different
Oh, cool.
collaboration.
But it's the sound of the EV, right? Like, how do you know what your car should sound like? Because
Yeah.
the EV has no sound.
So he is a classical trained
And I've heard
composer.
that people can get
Really
hit
into it.
because they're not in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, who's a classical
the
trained?
guy who
trained-
has created the sound for the BMW.
I love his name. I actually know.
Yeah, I have pictures of him and videos.
Right.
of him.
Well, I've had on Crypto Mondays, I had in Vienna a 17-year-old prodigy. She had already done 2 full-length operas as well. Alma Deutscher, very good, very cool. She did a performance on Crypto Mondays as well. But she has an NFT project where she did a collaboration with an artist and NFTs, and you could, like you said, enhance it by having different compositions of this or different variations of this same but I'm interested in this enhanced NFT and what you guys are doing
So-
specifically in relation to NFTs.
So what I'm doing many things in NFT. So first,
You don't have.
No, I don't.
I have it, but I'll get it after. So I have it, but anyway, part of how we met.
Shout out to Rolls Royce, the biggest, most
And
wasteful cars on the planet.
BMW, my baby.
Yeah, and I love BMW too, but I sold it.
Renata.
Yes.
No.
No, it was
Yeah.
NASA. Anyway.
Actually, one of the
we-
best things ever to drive your own BMW to the BMW factory.
No, mine. Oh, yes, mine was I saw when it was born. She was
Yeah.
the last one on the lane. She traveled from Germany all the way to California to
Nice.
and I got to pick her up and I made sure it was a stick shift and I didn't know. So it was kind of fun to get it out of the car, the parking lot.
And then but the problem with the stick shift in America is like, oh, somebody else needs to drive today. And Americans are like, I don't know how to drive a
No,
stick
my
shift.
sisters all know how to drive.
Actually, Zach, no, listen, stick shift, everybody knows how to
Oh,
drive.
my baby's down the street right now. She's got less than 1,000 miles, 100,000 miles.
What kind of Beamer you got?
I have a 330 CI
Okay, nice. Yeah,
convertible.
oh yeah, you got a convertible. Oh, perfect day for a convertible. It's like 90
Exactly.
degrees.
I'll get it tomorrow. I'll be taking her out for a ride.
Nice. What color?
Blue.
Okay, good, good.
Blue.
Sustainable.
No.
Yeah.
2000. How can it be? No, but
No, I got rid of my BMW. I had a BMW 5 Series, and I was living in Vienna, and I got rid of it for two reasons. One, it's the public transportation in Vienna is so good, you don't need a car, and cars take longer. And two, the major thing is that hey, I'm ruining the planet here. I can take public transportation, and I kind of had a personal and
I said
Jesus.
she's 23 years, 23 years old, and she's got less than 100,000 miles. So I don't abuse her. I take the
that's
train.
beautiful. But you got it from Germany, also.
Yeah, she came by boat, and then I saw her on the truck, and then I came and picked her up, and
Well, I'm not going to take you for too much time. I want you to go enjoy that, and both of you to enjoy this beautiful day. I mean, NFT.NYC is still going very good. I want to ask you about the NFTs aspects of your projects, both of what you're doing. How do you fit NFTs
I
into
think
that?
that for me, what I want to do is to take the data that is coming out of my space to feed to other NFTs. I am looking at using NFTs as a way. So as I spoke to you, the next thing that I want to do is with John Brock, we're looking to do refi conferences and really bringing
Yes.
and on the whole aspect of finance and businesses. And what Asher is doing is a very big compliment to what I want to do, which is in a way you're financing something. I think that we're seeing more the systems are getting better. So which means you can start having attributes rather than, it's really, for me, it's always been about the data. The picture means nothing, but if it can actually speak to you. So I am going to collaborate with this artist named Sutu. He's this young gentleman from Australia. And he's actually the third most prolific artist on Tezos. And he has a TED Talk. He's fascinating.
Right.
And he's using technology to tell stories. And his NFT is amazing because it's this man with this cloud of waste and shit. So there's a hot shit going.
Okay.
And makes
Elephant turd.
Elephant turd. Yeah, like the turd. She knows all
The
about.
ones that's encountered in person.
Personal experience with turds and NFTs. You got it here on Crypto Mondays, folks.
Yeah, so the way we use it,
No, but so what I'm gonna do is to use those to be a way to fund start a non-for-profit, which are working with education in the space, education with girls, art, all those things, and encouraging.
And we're going to show that up on the screen, okay?
Yes.
Make sure to send that NFT. We'll show it up while you're
Yeah.
talking about it.
And it's really going to be something that will meant that people can then trade later. I'm not looking to sell it, but really give it and have it then have 25% of it go back to these good causes, both in art, in education, in environmental. If we think about some of the small projects that go around the world who are not well funded, why not use that to create that education and to create those opportunities? So it's really about how can we support because one of my concerns has been with not-for-profit is and this is why I didn't go non-for-profit. You end up having donors that you have to satisfy what they think is right.
you have investors to satisfy and what they think is right.
Yeah,
but but you make them money, as long as you make them money,
Yes,
it's fine. They're fine.
But donors,
Donors don't want you to make money because sometimes that's not seen as good.
yeah,
So you cannot be, so it's
and it
better.
keeps you dependent on them too,
Exactly.
by the way. Just
So
saying.
profit with purpose is how we need to go, and creating the ability for prosperity across to be redistributed. So what I envision is where the data that we will have can be used to evidence what you're trying to measure. And that's really the way we need to start looking. How do we bring all that data up and then create the messages that are needed to say, did you do what you said you were going to do, or did you fail? And then using those NFTs as the way of creating the diversion of capital. We keep talking about impact, but we
Right.
don't see the money going into the right impact. So
So you're talking about diversion of capital into specific impact projects that are well-defined and that can enable this multi-stakeholder engagement and then the solution to occur.
we should get
Tackling the cause and not the symptoms, as you said earlier.
and or writing 100 pages of bullshit to get $5,000. Let's get them the $5,000 and see the result and help them.
And put the bullshit in the NFT.
Exactly.
I'm joking. Along with the element turn. Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Part that I like, perhaps disagree with in terms of investment versus donors, right? I think investors can be just as myopic, can have as many strings attached, because the minute they get involved, depending on the institutional investment you're getting in, I mean, that's part of the reason why I have to be so particular in my fundraising, because who sits at my table informs how long this table is going to run with the kind of core integrity it runs with right now. So that's one part of it. So I think donors can be just as strings attached as investors are. And then the other side of it is in terms of how we utilize the NFTs to divert capital. I think it's about real-time diversion. It's not about something that happens as an afterthought. It's not about royalties and licensing.
No,
Right?
but what happens is that right now, people are looking at NFTs and saying, and so if we now start taking
on
the
to it.
data,
Yeah.
they hang on to it. But if we can create a continuous stream of funding, because no matter what they're selling.
Yeah. So with Hennessy, like what we're working on is finding a way to give continuity to the impact, right? So it's not just a one and done pump and dump scheme. The other side of it is banking on extinction, because the minute you bring in the mentality of scarcity into creating a FOMO culture around an NFT, you're resulting in a corrosive landscape as opposed to one that empowers the asset that's diminishing in the real world. And if you're tethering it to natural resources like plants, wildlife, any of those things, you're not looking to have less of them in order for the value to go up, right? And that mentality is why people like cull tuna, cull elephants, and procure ivory, because everything, the less there is of something alive, the more it becomes valuable. And that is what we're trying to break out of in our impact platform. So we do not have offsets, we do not do guns and butter, we do not do a modality that allows for you to continue to erode that and extract from that which is finite, because the minute you result in that, you're creating the same Web2 economy that has not been working for us.
You're correct. That's why for me, I don't have a token, but I'm saying that data is going to support whatever you're measuring. So where I look at the enterprise trade is more in education, in being able, and this is not about scarcity, it's about provenance. When I look at it, it's a provenance.
Provenance, yeah.
You were part of the great makers. That bottle would not have been there without you.
Yeah.
So you get that royalty. So that royalty is not based on a future sale of somebody's speculation. That bottle is going to sell, but you're now going to get your share of the revenue.
No, you're in consensus. That's why we're going to work together. I'm not disagreeing with you on that front at all.
So you asked how, yeah, we were speakers. We loved each other's speech, but it was the dinner time, which was even better.
Comes with wine.
Okay, well, that's
I
important.
mean,
Yeah, very important.
Each time wine, there's nothing like cheese and
Yeah.
bread to get you going.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, exactly. Cheese and bread, and it sure beats elephant turds.
Oh.
Anyway, so okay, great. Well, we get to know about you. We Bill's parents. So we got to know these two amazing people today. I want to say thank you for coming to CryptoGreen podcast for Crypto Mondays. If you don't know Crypto Mondays, we're in 53 cities around the world. Over 50,000 members. We're the largest and oldest meetups for around Web3. We have like the local bits, in-person reality, having wine, dinner, drinks. You can go to Crypto Mondays in your city, or if you don't have a Crypto Mondays in your city, you can reach us at CryptoMondays.io, and you can start one in your city. I might come up there personally and help you out, find sponsor speakers and things like that. We like to have fun, but we also like to get to real projects. Not, people hear a lot of scams, a lot of different tricks. A lot of people have negative views on blockchain and say, oh, well, Bitcoin is going to destroy the environment, but they never are talking about what kind of projects are creating solutions, what kind of products are creating change, and how intelligent, super intelligent the people are in this area. Because wow, I think this was just,
Final.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or get a room.
Okay, on that,
With a banana.
we got a room, a banana, and 3 amazing people. I think that we're gonna have to close it on that. Okay, no, please. Okay, just let's tell the audience, if you want to tell them how they can either get in touch with you or your organization, your website, or the NFT project.
Because I think it should end on you know, punctuate. That's the punctuation.
All right, go ahead
Yeah.
then.
So find at Earth Heiress. That's a 2H situation. EARTHHEIRESS. And Hennessy is HENOSCENA. And I'm just going to come at full circle here with the elephant's herd story, which is to say, let's leave it on a moment of wisdom and not just me being done born by an elephant. I say when something, you know, unexpected comes your way, like it did in that moment where I captured that photograph, I still got a very cool image of an elephant underwater and in line with all the turd coming my way. You know, so I think make the most of anything that happens, because even when shit comes your way, it could become something beautiful. So use it. And people farming, they use it for fertilizer and manure. Like there's always good uses for waste. So be mindful of what you waste and how it can come full circle. And that's a circular economy.
Exactly.
I love that.
Which is actually to me regenerative agriculture, it's regenerative finance. How do we take the turd and make it
something
work?
Brilliant, yeah.
So to find me, it's MG Lavelle, and AgriLedger is all that we use. I like to have consistency.
Yeah.
Really, this has been so much fun.
Thank you.
It's I know I miss responding to your email, but this was much better.
Yeah, I love how it's spontaneous. But yeah, I know, and we're already.
Outside by the tea.
I know, and we've already decided to go to Las Vegas and get married. All right, after the hotel room.
Okay,
Okay, that'll be cut. That part will be cut. Okay, me and the banana will go to the hotel room. You have a fun time changing the world. Bye. On that note.
we want to have fun too.
He's a troublemaker. These two are getting a room with a banana.
I need to go get a whole batch of these bananas, but they don't sell them in 14. You gotta buy, 4. Anyway,
I am
thanks
mending
very
the
much.
stage in 10 minutes.
Thank you so much for your time, everybody. Thank you for taking money. See you soon.
See you soon. See you in Paris.
See you in Paris.
Oh,
Hey,
God,
thanks a
yeah,
lot.
Paris.
Thank you so much. Your sense of humor too. That was cool. Nice. Thank you so much.
Yay.
I'll let you run out of here.
No, I'm
not
going just
I'm not
across the
gonna go anywhere. You're never leaving this. Go ahead. Don't think about it. Don't even think about it. I'm gonna be pointing at you.
Wait,
Oh shit, that's all still on me.
what are you talking about?
I'm not talking, I'm the host. Oh, with the most.
She's the
I'm
host.
the MC. Josh, I'll send you the information when you out of town. You're going to the art stage.